good afternoon, everyone.
Good
We're going to
afternoon.
call the meeting in order. We're going to do a roll call. Okay, so it's Miss Blanca Brewster,
Present.
Natalie Lewis,
Here.
Miriam Jocelyn Ayala, Mario Perez, Ms. Mary Bender,
Present.
and Jancira, Sandra Solis. All right, we have Public Health Department Representative, Dr. Chamberlain, and Ms. Lauren Bluestone. All right, great. Okay, so we're gonna call the meeting in order. I guess we need a quorum. Sir, are you a new?
Oh,
okay.
he's a guest.
Oh, okay. All right.
Sorry.
Okay.
But we can put him on as, committee member.
I already have somebody.
Who has vacancy?
Yeah, there's Rick. You might want to contact Mr. Rick Garza. Thank you for joining, sir. Okay, so any public comments?
None submitted.
None submitted? Wish to motion to approve of minutes for minutes of Wednesday, July the 9th, last time we were here. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
We have a motion and a second. Those in favor? Against? Motion approved. So we're gonna move on to 5A. Before we move on, we want to welcome Chief from Police here. Thank you for being here, sir. We appreciate your time and joining us in this important committee meeting. Okay, so number 5A, LPD animal cruelty training and protocols. Request update on current animal cruelty and neglect training. Second bullet point for that item, overview of reporting and auditing protocols for related calls.
So, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me here. My name is Ricardo Gonzalez. I'm an assistant chief for the Alerta Police Department. A little bit of my background, I've been with the department for a bit over 26 years. Held just about every single rank in the department, so very familiar to many different things. And I guess that's the key, we do a lot of different things. So, as much as sometimes we want to get really involved with a particular crime or type of crime such as this, or issues in our city, it becomes a challenging role, right? Because we have only so many resources to go by. That's why we value a lot of the partnerships and collaborations that we have, which brings me to my presentation about, I was asked to present about task force, which pretty much encompasses collaborations, trainings, and all these things. So I'm gonna start with giving you a little. Okay, we're just gonna set up the presentation.
Thank you, Chief.
I'm gonna give you a little bit of overview about who we are, what we see throughout the years, the last couple of years, give you a bird's eye view of the type of calls that we receive, and some of the enforcement that we do, and go on to talk about the task force and some of the recommendations. If you're okay with that. And then, of course, I'll open it up for any questions that you might have. Yes.
Yes.
Start with brother?
Yeah.
Can everybody see the screens?
Now we can. There you go. Good.
Awesome.
Thank you for your patience. Again, Ricardo Gonzalez, and I'm going to talk a little bit about who we are. We're a 575 strong, 76 strong department. Right now, we're at 508. The rest are unfilled vacancies. We're going through a promotional process to fill the different vacancies, different levels. So it's a continuous role that we have to do, right? As we get bigger, it's harder to staff and keep those numbers up there because of the amount of screening and training that it takes. We answer about over 400,000 calls a year for our population. Yeah, so we do a little bit over 7,000 arrests, a little bit over 500 are juvenile offenses. So in a bird's eye view, that's what we do, and of course there's a lot of intangibles. We address somebody dials 911 because there's a raccoon up in the attic, we go. It's not a police problem. Here we like to service our community, and we try to do as much as we can with what we have. So that's what you'll be seeing with our stats. Our animal case calls, we average close to 2,000 a year. Right now, halfway, we're about those numbers, we're a little bit over 1,000. So what is an animal case call? It encompasses a lot of things, from somebody complaining of cruelty to animals, to dog fighting, dog barkings, and you'll see the numbers there. Close to a quarter of the calls are complaints of animal cruelty. Now, do those translate to arrests? No. What a person's complaint of what animal cruelty is to what the law threshold is a lot different. And sometimes that's where we find ourselves at odds with getting criticized for not acting. But it's not up to us, it's up to the DA's office. So a process, which I'm going to segue a little bit about that through our task force. So just to give you an idea of the numbers, right? We see things such as dog fighting in there, dogs barking, all that gets into our animal case calls.
Could you go back to the other screen, please?
Yes, of course.
Very quickly. Thank you.
While we wait, I also, before he proceeds, Chief, I do want to add that the police department currently is 70 positions short. We know our federal competition, well, to them is Border Patrol, HSI, all those are tapping into our experienced officers and stuff. So retention is key at the moment. So I just wanted to add to his introduction.
And as we move on, you'll see other type of calls that we classify, such as dog barking calls, snakes, animal carcasses. So that's our animal case calls, right? And then depending on disposition, they get broken down. Just to give you an idea what these calls translate to. Citations involving animals, these are our numbers. 7 in 2023, 8 in 2024, and 1 so far this year for dogs at large. That's the main one that you see. Now, very, very low, you might think, right? Yes. One, a lot of the cases where we see complaints get resolved very different ways. Officers are work with the public as much as they can. Enforcement is always kind of the last resort. Arrest and all, if we can. So sometimes we get complaints of a dog at large. Most of these dogs we can't pair it up with an owner, so it's very hard to cite somebody. That's when we call our partners at Animal Control to recover those dogs. And that is very common in Laredo. When we can, we look at the overall situation. A lot of these are accidental releases or dogs being at large. And all those that have pets might probably have experienced that. My brother, I don't have dogs, but my brother does, and he recently got a call from a neighbor that the dog was in his property. He's like, I have gates, I have everything. So we try to figure out how, and I guess somebody from the electrical company went in because they had to check something, they left the gate ajar, and that happened. So we get those cases, and of course, we look at culpability, and we try to factor everything as we can. We try to be reasonable. So a lot of these calls that we receive for dogs at large don't necessarily translate to enforcement. And there's a lot, and I'm touching the surface, right? I can go through a whole array of different scenarios. And it's not lack of effort, but we need to inject some reasonableness in what we do. So you'll see a lot of that, and somewhere where people see things black and white, we don't. We have to factor in as much as we can.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can you go to the previous slide that said that there was like 1,900 calls? Is this specific to LPD versus like our ACO officers, like our animal control officers have their own data for calls?
Yes, but they do kind of parallel or intertwine. A lot of these cases we involve them, and vice versa. A lot of the cases they involve us, and we factor into each other's numbers. Moving on, and this is how we classify and reporting our cruelty to animal arrest. They're just reporting, that's how it's broken down, but pretty much these are animal-related arrests, mainly cruelty to animals. Very small portion of bestiality, what we've seen it recently, last year. But we're averaging about 20 arrests. So this year we've done more than previous years, as you can see. We're halfway and we already kind of met that average. Animal Cruelty Task Force. This was created back in March of 2020. It was designed to
That's a
have.
typo, right, Chief?
I'm sorry?
That's a typo?
Yes. Yes, that's a, thank you for catching that.
Maybe on the, that's a new word.
It's a new word.
Tax.
I
It's a
missed
tra-
it. What is
it's-
the correct date?
I'm sorry?
What is the correct date, 2023?
No.
It was created in
I-
2020.
2020.
Oh, it was created in 2020?
Yes.
Okay.
So, back in 2020, there was a push to create this task force. And there was MOUs that were signed. It included anywhere from the City of Laredo, Webb County, Cook County Sheriff's Department, a lot of constables' offices, a lot of nonprofit stakeholders, the DA's office, the municipal court, of course, animal care services. So all these, there was an MOU that was signed. The purpose of this MOU is to create a partnership, collaboration where cases will be, not only cases will be discussed, look at lack or gaps in training or policies, procedures, reviewing laws, the applicability of those laws, and how we can apply them better and out there in the real world, submit for proposals for ordinances, for city council, you name it. So it was assigned to meet at least quarterly. They review laws, manners, laws are enforced, recommend changes to policies, procedure for all participating member agencies, collaborating on cases, of course, provide regular training to officers and employees of all the participating agencies, and attend special events. We haven't, or at least the police department hasn't attended a task force meeting in a while. I don't know what happened. I can't really tell you. We had an investigator assigned specifically to this task force. He was a subject matter expert. We call him the detective. And he was really good. He had really good communications with all the agencies, really good rapport with the DA's office. But things have changed, and he's moved on to another division. Somebody else has taken that new role. But even though we haven't met formally as a group, we still have the practice in place. Anytime we see a case and there's a complexity to it, or anytime there's a potential for arrest or a criminal component to it, we consult with the DA's office, we'll consult with animal care services, municipal court, you name it. We attend all these special events. We have animal care services provide training to our officers. All these things outside of meeting formally and providing recommendations have not been done. And I can't be, I don't know, I'm not the person to answer as to the why or why not. So just to give you a little bit of background on that.
What would that person be? Sorry, to put you on the spot, I have to ask.
No, and if I get tired with it, I'll take it, I'll do it, but,
So Assistant Chief Gonzalez
well,
On the record.
has been assigned.
I know before, Crime Stoppers was very well involved. I know the previous ACS director was the one responsible for it. And her departing the city of Laredo, maybe that's been the gap. I don't know.
How do we
But
find out?
I
How
made
do
some
we-
calls in the last few days after the invitation to do this presentation, to have some information for you, but I never got any call back. But I'm trying to get
Okay.
those answers.
All right.
Because my recommendation, after learning about this, is to, I saw the names of that MOU, a lot of the signatures of that document are non-existent, from our city manager to constables, obviously our ACS director. So my recommendation, create a new MOU, initiate those quarterly meetings as soon as possible, outside of an MOU, because the entities have committed to it. We have directed from council to do so. So we can initiate those outside of a new MOU, but always having a fresh MOU helps. Participating agencies can revisit anything that we've learned since then that we should add, put it on there, anything that we need to remove because it's counterproductive. There's nothing wrong with revisiting, changing, and improving things. And one thing that that in reviewing that MOU recently, I noticed that the game warden wasn't on there. I know it's a state entity, but even if they don't sign an MOU, and it might be hard to get a state agency signed an MOU with local entities, knowing how the state works and the bureaucracy behind it. I would like to, in the future, reach out to the local game warden and have a representative as part of this group, even though they're not formally in that MOU, to build those relationships, collaborations, because we've seen some cases in recent times where we needed to have that immediate contact and collaboration and so forth, such as with the mountain lion in San Laredo. So it's always good to have those laid out, right? So this is pretty much my presentation in general, touching a little bit about our recent history, who we are going forward. Any questions that you may have, other than why it stopped, I'll try to get that for you.
Chief,
as
who
soon as
has
I
a
can.
copy of the MOU so we can reach out to the new players in their positions?
The city secretary should have one. I had a copy of it, and I was looking for it. I thought I had brought it with me, but I didn't.
Okay.
I left it on my desk, but you can also find it online. If you look at Tio Laredo,
I'll call Mr. Mario.
yes, you can find a draft of
In
it.
these old, in these positions, they're old names, but there's new names to these positions.
Mhm. Yes. So yes, you can find it online, and it's pretty much generalizing what I
To
just
be
presented.
updating the MOU.
Mhm. Any questions? So going back, protocols, trainings.
Yes.
Our trainings are very I'll be very honest, are very basic when it comes to police officers training with the specific animal cases. Why? Because we have a book this thick to train officers in such limited time, 11 months. So by then we have to encompass anything from drug violations to assaults to you name it, everything under the sky. That big old book, traffic laws, any and all traffic laws, family code, TABC laws. So it's very hard to dedicate specialized training to one particular subject. That's why we partner up with ACS, and we started a wave in working some cases, identifying some deficiencies. They came in, but it's very challenging because we demand a lot. Why do I say we demand a lot? We have over 200 officers in the field, patrol officers. They're working 24/7. So to pull those officers out to have a 2-hour training, we can do, but we can't pull them all, we can't bring them in the room all at the same time because we have to either let them rest or protect the city, you name it. So we need to bring in our trainers in waves. And we kind of decide that over a period of time where we're bringing them in on overlaps. and we allow anywhere from 30 to 2 hours to do that training. But if we want to train everybody immediately, they would have to come to all the different shifts, which is kind of an inconvenience for trainers. So we kind of do whoever's working day shift first, and then we wait 2 months to move people around and change shifts, and we'll finish off the rest. So it takes us about 2 to 4 months to fully train everybody. And then we have to bring specialized detective divisions that deal with these type of crimes to be able to expand some of that training. But I'll tell you right now, the serious cases, those are easy. Why? Because you have the patrol division involved, you have detectives involved, you have the DA's office involved. At that point, you have ACS involved. So the cavalry comes out. It's the minor cases where we might have, there's a concern slipping through the cracks because there's not much attention to it. So that's where we need animal care services to come in, and that's what they do. They kind of train our officers in a lot of things that they do, because we have as much authority as they do to cite, but we don't have the resources sometimes on vaccinations. We don't have that knowledge and so forth. So sometimes we just defer to them because they're the subject matter expert. But it's always good to know what they do. That way we know when to refer, when to call, or so forth, or when to fill in the gaps, because a lot of these calls come in after hours. They don't work 24/7, the DA's office doesn't work. We have to wake people up at night. And a lot of things, if we can be as self-sustainable as possible to be able to enforce and fill those gaps where they're not available, it makes us a lot more efficient. That's where the task force really comes into play. Reinforce those partnerships, reinforce those continuous trainings, people's roles and so forth. Really good understanding what we need to do. Again, just because we haven't met doesn't mean we don't have it in practice, but there's a lot of gaps that we can kind of, once we regroup, we can reinforce and bring back together, become even more efficient what we do.
We get a lot of calls. We get a lot of complaints that this animal is in very bad shape, and Officer XYZ was called. He didn't warrant. Would it not work better if you followed the lead from the experts, that is the LAX facility? If your officers don't have enough training and can't justifiably make a decision, wouldn't you defer to the experts?
So we always do in these bigger cases, usually they're involved. But the decision to arrest, and going back to that model of a task force, that we don't operate in the bubble. It's a collaboration. We staff all our cases with the DA's office. We present the facts, and then they'll tell us, look, don't make the arrest, we don't have enough. Or yes, I see where you're going, but I need A, B, and C. But I've seen, because I've gotten those complaints, and I look back, I review those cases, and it's a lack of communication. The officer doesn't arrest, and he's not going to do anything. No, they have to go back, they need to do all these other things that the DA's office is asking for, but they don't convey that to the complainant, or the complainant call in on the phone, anonymous, we get involved, so we don't have anybody to relay that information to. That doesn't mean that we ask sometimes the animal to be recoverably safe, and then we'll follow up based on the DA's office and the instructions. And every single case is very different. I would hate to generalize a single case right here, right now, because we've seen it all. Initially, I'll get the complaint and I'll see pictures and I go, and then I start learning, okay, it makes sense now. But we don't operate in a bubble. Anytime there's a situation like this, by then, the DA's office is aware, and we're getting a lot of direction. We're trying to build a case. Sometimes acting in the moment is the worst thing that we can do, because we're seeking an arrest with very limited evidence. And what they want is they want to build a good case, right? So as long as, and I would hate to compare these cases with child cases. But we have the same thing with child cases. Sometimes we've shown up to very egregious complaints of child abuse, and we don't arrest right away. You know, wait, this is, they're letting somebody report, no. They're requesting us to do forensic interviews, forensic examinations and so forth before we arrest the person. As long as the child is safe, it's removed from that environment where it was exposed to that abuse, we have many years, it don't take years, but we have time to build up the case that we need. It's the same thing with dogs. Just because we don't do an arrest right away, sometimes that's not the best course of action, doesn't mean that it needs to be. That should be the expectation. The expectation is to make the dog safe, the animal safe, and then we'll make sure that everything's being done. And then we'll hold people accountable, we'll do whatever we need to do. And I've seen that more than not. So, just to.
The reason for us asking you here is, again, because we as an animal rescue get a lot of complaints. And lately, there's been a lot of media sensationalization of animal cruelty, and it's the blame. Of course, they have to blame somebody, and the blame is towards blacks, and they're not understanding the other factors involved, like the police department that has to work behind the scenes to get to the arrest, to get to the prosecution. And that's why. Now, there's another case where this lady called the cops. The dog was very, very thin. The officer went in, talked to the owner, no citation. No warning, no nothing. The lady stood her ground. What's your supervisor's name? Whatever it was. She called him, sent him pictures of the dog. Supervisor sent another officer. Citation was issued, dog was removed, and the case moved forward. Those are the things that in our culture, because we have to factor in our culture, a lot of people, it's just an animal. Why are we gonna inflict a citation, an arrest on this poor man that looks like he's barely making it? And unfortunately, that happens more often than not.
So our officers are trained to remove the emotion of the equation. A lot of these calls for service that we get are driven by emotion, and they need to hold somebody accountable now. They get complicated, that's why sometimes they will be arrested. But vice versa, if it's there, and yes, unfortunately, this person might be in a bad situation that's gonna add to their worries. If they committed the offense, the arrest needs to go through. So yes, it works both ways. Going cases about Mount Norwich, I had the same complaint recently, and the picture was there, and kind of learning about it. Again, going back to why a lot of these complaints don't mature to arrest, even though this has been the year with the most arrests, and we're just halfway there. Malnourished, you can tell that the dog was, no pun intended, on his last leg.
Yes.
Once they started investigating, this person rescued the dog, found him in the middle of nowhere, took him home. At that time, somebody saw them, complained against them, so we weren't gonna arrest them, somebody's trying to do something good, right? So we need to go past that. The one that's very interesting, there was a complaint, I don't know if it was a horse or a dog, where, it was below freezing temperatures, the animal was exposed, and somebody wanted this person arrested because, like, some people like to have them indoors or take care of them. This person, for whatever reason, is an outdoor dog and it stayed outdoor. It had, basic covering, but the dog was exposed to some extent, right? And we ran the case through a doctor. I think it was Dr. Linedecker. I don't remember. They said, no, this animal can withstand temperatures even below, especially that breed. It goes into this whole science behind it. So we stopped the case with these. I was like, no fine. And as much as in the eyes of the public, it might seem like a criminal offense, we have to go by the laws and the interpretation of the entities that decide on it. We're just fact finders and enforcers, but all these decisions, they're collaborations, and I'm all for that because it prevents from these, it kind of creates a quality assurance kind of thing. And there's even more models, and my background is in child abuse, so we have a very good model with that, and there's no sense why we can't implement a lot of those practices and what we do in other investigations, such as this one. We can always staff cases, present cases, complaints, and dispositions, so people are aware of what's going on there, why or why not, and keep you as representatives of our community, rest assured that the work that's being done or not being done, there's a rhyme and reason for it. It's not because somebody wants to be lazy, no, the system is working, and at the end of the day, people are gonna be held accountable, based on evidence and all these other things. We're not gonna drive by emotion, and I'm not judging people that get emotional with this, but we have to balance everything out. And for us, more than anything, we have to protect people's rights, as much as, yes, we do support care of animals and so forth. Our main priority is to protect people's rights, from the Constitution down to every inherent right that we have under the state of Texas. That's paramount to us. So balancing that act, right? That's what we do. The room went silent, I don't like that. Questions, please.
Well, I'm dominating the questions here. Anybody else have any other questions? I mean,
That's good. Mhm.
Not warm in here now.
So.
It runs the gamut. It runs the
Background on this?
well, I would like to.
Yeah, we're making it regulated. It's at 60, like 70. Make the heater regulated, like,
I don't know how it's
fast. But no, it won't get any hotter than this.
Because you need to find culpability, right? And I hate to throw these very technical criminal terms at you, but that's what we're doing. That whole too. So we need to know accountability. We have to know what that
and I'll
is.
discuss that with
We
you.
don't know. That's why we go to subject matter experts. Tell us what we're seeing. What is this a result of? Look at, do interviews, do all these things, but that takes time. Will we do right away if there's removal of that animal? Right. Keep the animal safe, and then while we go through the investigation.
You know, I do wish we had the same reaction to animals in slaughterhouses.
Yeah.
I mean, there's many animals in slaughterhouses that have the same eye infections and, doesn't keep them off our plate though, does it?
So let's pose the question to Ms. Bluestone. Would you like to give us some background on those photos?
I have my phone here.
This was a case in which our officers had responded to, from a public request, finding the animals in this condition. Our officers documented, gave the owners of these animals, I wanna say, I think it was around 5 days to get medical treatment for these animals. Upon re-inspection, the animals were not taken to a vet.
Okay?
At which time, our officers felt that the owners were explain on what they need to do. The intent was then there that they didn't do it, so we called PD in to elevate it from an ordinance violation to potentially misdemeanor.
How long ago was this, and do you know the outcome of
The officer, the police officer on scene refused to formulate any charges. We went ahead and did ordinance violations, and we do have the dog. We did have the owner sign off on the dog for us to take it into our custody. It's actually still currently at our facility.
So this is a recent?
Yes.
Do you have details on it, or you can give me details so I can follow up on the call and why?
I mean, I can print out the case report for you.
All right, okay. Sorry, here.
Yeah.
This is your use report, right?
Yes. Correct, and we were gonna provide that for the officer on scene. Both dogs were on scene.
It's a standard.
Okay, so any more questions regarding our today's presentation by Chief Gonzalez and the Laredo Police Department?
Can I say something?
Sure.
I just want to make a brief comment here because I know that Animal Services and the police department, do a lot of attempts to work diligently in a partnership manner. I think that the partnerships at many times have been fractured, but I do feel that we are working towards a common goal at this point. I'm a new kid on the block, so I've only been able to formulate a little bit more partnerships and responses with PD over the past year and a half. So all of this that happened prior, I didn't even know there was a task force. Do I think necessarily, and I do apologize, that the system in place is working? I don't. Do I feel that we are working towards it to be working? I do. I don't want to give a false statement from the Laredo Animal Care Services, but I also don't want the public to think that the police department aren't stepping up to the plate and making these relationships better, because they are, right? Like he said, there's a lot of officers on the streets. There's a lot of officers who get hired and then transition up, so you have more influx coming in. It is a daunting task to train each of those officers, especially on a consistent level. So you do have different field officers, PDs in the field making different types of decisions. But on the same token here, nothing's black and white, and he's absolutely right when they respond to cases. And with all due respect, do I feel like we are attempting to work towards that common ground? Yes. Do we have a lot of hiccups? Yes. And that's anything. Is Animal Services perfect? Absolutely not. Do we make mistakes in the field? Absolutely, almost every day. But I think that the public also needs to realize, and again, I don't want to provide a false statement. I feel that the system needs adjustments, and I think that much as LPD is saying, this is a great opportunity, creating new MOUs, initiating quarterly meetings to kind of enhance that again. And I do feel that that's what's needed, and I'm super thankful that you're here and made those recommendations, and absolutely, but again, that's just kind of what it is a very daunting task what they're up against.
Absolutely,
Yeah, Councilman.
we know, and we know that there's room for improvement. There's room for improvement in our organization, in our small little rescue. There's always room for improvement, but if we work together, I think we can make it a little bit better and a little bit easier on any one entity.
Yes, and if I may, Councilmember. Prime example is this case. I would love to have concrete information and response on this. It's kind of unfair that I get ambushed on it.
You did. I
but-
apologize for that.
But not new, it happens every time. But it's a perfect example what my part of the recommendation was. One thing that I love about working with the child abuse cases, well, there's nothing to love about it, but the passion behind people involved and the collaborations and how we didn't leave anything to chance. What we did is weekly we met with staff cases, dispositions, so the stakeholders knew, and we can leave the names out of it, we can just go with facts. And we can see why or why not. It is there that we would identify deficiencies, such as if for whatever reason this case, let's say this case was staffed, and the DA's office said no because A, B, and C. What's that A, B, and C? Okay, because it's not written in the law. Well, that's an opportunity, right, for us to go before legislature and include A, B, and C. Or it could be a local ordinance, you name it. It is with real case scenarios that we will find the gaps in the system. And like I said, we shouldn't work in a bubble, just operate and having a single gatekeeper, an officer making the decision, no. And if for whatever reason that happens, there's always contingency plans. For example, this case, let's say this officer came in, which is, it could happen, right? Comes in, lazy or whatever, bad day, or had something else pending, another call, and this brushed it off for whatever reason. But whoever's the complainant or if animal control services is involved, they say, well, there's something not right about this. There's always a boss to the boss to the boss. And sometimes people just call us directly and we get involved. The Chief Benito Martinez, who oversees patrol, and myself as well. We get those calls directly, we get our supervisor involved. Go check out that case, oversee and see what's going on. And we'll make sure that we can get those calls in real time while it's happening. We ensure that we don't drop the ball. But even after the fact, if that happens, we can still go back and do things right. Just because they don't happen in the moment doesn't mean we miss it altogether. So just know that. And that there's contingency plans. We shouldn't get to that, right? That's where this task force was really good about identifying these gaps, reinforcing those trainings, those partnerships, you name it. So allow me to look into it. Hopefully next time we meet, I get invited back, and I can tell you a little bit about why not, and if there's anything that we missed, we can make it right and we'll present on it. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for being such a good sport.
Through the years, develop a tough skill.
Okay, so I guess motion to move forward with instructing city manager's office to refresh the current MOU established so we can initiate those further meetings. Do you have a second?
Did we pass it?
Oh, we're gonna vote on it.
Yeah. Motion for approval? Those in favor? Against? Motion passes. All instructions. Number 5B, update on the animal cruelty and neglect ordinance, revamping suggestions.
I gave everybody a handout. Assistant Chief, I know we've kept you a long time. We're gonna, you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but I know we've kept you a long time, so.
Is he really, do they need to be here?
He doesn't need to be present for the ordinances.
No? Okay, so then LPD can be dismissed.
All right, well, I'm only a phone call away if you ever need
Thank you,
anything.
Chief, we will.
And,
May I have your card?
then
May I have your final allowance?
you get a couple of
3
cards.
cards.
Okay.
I'm gonna get a set of cards and I'll.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, so, I'm not gonna rehash this. It has been, outstanding. This was assigned in January to revamp, the animal cruelty, ordinances and, for lack of action, we went ahead and took it on. And it's very basic, very basic. We added definitions, and these definitions need to be tweaked. But we had to add a definition for shelter, which was lacking in the ordinance. A shelter for dogs, small animals, and then a shelter in the form of a lean-to for livestock, goats, lambs, chickens, whatever. And then the definition of shade, not being just a long tree. So,
Anything on the leash?
well, the leash has been revamped, and it is in the ordinances.
At least it's tethered.
The tether.
It's been 15, like they extended it to 15.
Right.
I didn't get that one.
So,
See you guys.
yeah, so specifically for officers making a call on relating to the well-being of the animal, and one of the things lacking was shade. So the dog is sitting out there tethered in the sun. So that was added to make that easier, hopefully to get citations, to make it easier to enforce animal cruelty.
So I guess, motion, you review this.
Well, I think it needs to go legal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You
Let me,
want her to review it first
Right.
before.
Right.
so, what I'll do is, let me, formalize the shelter, lean-to, and shade definitions, as well as legal license and red line. So let me add it in like a red line version for legal,
Yeah.
and then we'll go that route. Because in order to submit, you have to do a red line, like on the draft. So I can go ahead and do that for the definitions, and then adding it to the very specific clause. Yeah.
So we appreciate the research and your input into this. So I guess, I'll motion to proceed with, Ms. Bluestone's, formalization to, accept and proceed and submit to legal.
And then I can send it out to you guys also in an
Please.
email. Like, it'll be redlined, just so
Yeah.
you know. It's not gonna look all pretty.
Exactly. Okay.
Okay.
So, motion, do we have a second? Those in favor? Against? Motion passes. Number 5C, discuss new ordinance to prohibit permits for pet shops selling dogs and cats in Laredo. No, that's great. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No.
So, yes, we would like an ordinance added to section or chapter 6 to prohibit pet shops and retail stores from selling any canine, any feline, and rabbits in the city of Laredo.
Are rabbits, aren't they more like livestock?
I don't know.
Yeah.
We can make the definition for sale of, well, no, for reason of non-agricultural. So we can
Yes.
kind of put that in there. Yeah.
And this is to exclude adoption events at Petco and rescue groups that have adoption events. That's a completely different thing. I know this bill failed to pass at the state level. I was supporting it.
birds in there?
We were rallying it. I sent emails and texts to all the councilmen when they were in Austin. I gave everybody pushing support, and it failed to go through. So, yeah. So, let's do it, let's prohibit it in Laredo. We don't need any pet stores.
I have a question on the F. Oh, sorry, can we talk about this or no?
On the F, yeah?
Whatever.
In the suggested ordinance, is this talking about just like, if you happen to have those animals as pets, like domesticated animals? So we can kind of differentiate between domestic animals and
So the problem with
all the others.
The problem with F is it's all inclusive.
Right.
Because it's talking about livestock, right? But the definition of small animal according to our ordinance
Yeah.
includes dogs and cats. So the way this is written right now includes everything,
Yeah.
everything.
So should we create another?
I think that if you are specifically doing like a lean-to or the harboring of livestock or fowl or any agricultural animal, we should take probably out small animals because we're holding small animals to a higher standard than the livestock and fowl. But I can read.
I guess you can
Yes.
use the same,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Yes.
Formalize.
It'll be redlined in that fashion to take, because the definition of small animal is completely different than what
Yeah.
this is.
Yeah.
So I guess,
Thank you, Nat.
for 5C, we could, motion to, follow motion as 5B. Formalize and then forward.
Yep.
Okay. So the motion, do we have a second?
She seconded.
Did we lose quorum for the,
Oh,
okay, forward.
sorry.
I don't think we can go.
Oh, okay.
That's almost all right for that. We're kind of asking people if we should have a small or
We need her to vote, yes.
just because there's so we're going through that.
That's what we're missing right
It's
now.
almost done, we just have to see it.
Before there could put the zoning, there's funding, five
There is, but I think there's a
It's broad.
process, right? So you have to have like there's a, I don't know the process.
Okay, so we were motioning for five C to follow the motion for 5B as well. Okay, and there's a motion and a second. Those in favor? Against? Motion passes. We move on for 5D, discuss stricter enforcement of roadside sale of pets.
Right, and we dismissed the chief, but that's okay.
Oh.
Well,
You dismissed him.
I
dismissed him, but you said.
I dismissed him, yes. Pobrecito.
Let's call him that.
I know. Yeah, so Lauren, there is the question coming from the public there are a lot of questions coming to us from the public regarding who do they call first? PD or Laredo
They
Animal
can do
Control?
311 or like,
311.
yeah.
Okay, and this is something that in our meeting, we're gonna address with the chief, because, you know, the cops drive by and they ignore the pets on the side of the road. Or they come by and they kinda look, and they get in the car and they leave. So,
I mean, I think it is definitely an appropriate discussion with them, because oftentimes, just because they have a lot more officers on scene or in the, and I'm not saying it's enough, but they do have a lot more than we do. Chances of them getting to
Yeah,
a scene like that
right.
is
yeah,
10 times faster. So I do think it should be an open discussion. I think that at the same time, like perhaps items like this, if you want to strengthen the punishment, the actual what you could get if you violate something like that, that we should probably also, it's a good thing that we're doing the MOUs, do the district attorneys in there as well. If we wanna up the,
Okay, so I guess motion to table to bring back and
Yes.
for further discussion.
Absolutely.
Motion, do we have a second? Those in favor? Against? Motion passes to table. And bring back. We're gonna move over for the final item, which is 5E, discussion and review Robert's rules for meetings. Suggests all committee members should review and agree to abide by them.
Yes. So I think we should get them printed up again,
Sure.
a condensed version. Can we do that? And then have everybody read. I'm very bad, I don't follow them either.
Yeah.
I know I'm bad, but I am trying. And I think we all should.
Can we have that for the next meeting?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so motion to move forward and have those printed and suggested to the members during next committee meeting. Do we have a second? There's a second. All in favor? All against? Motion passes. Number 6, motion to adjourn meeting. Second. In favor? Aye. Any against? Motion passes. Meeting adjourned.
Great. Good. I'm glad you done.